Deadpool's zombie head is wandering the world, but there is a full-body Deadpool already in this universe. What's gonna happen? Welcome to the Complete Story series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues, and I then read them dramatically back to you, which I could do even if I was only a zombie-ridden head. All alterations to the panel, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Now, for those of you who have no idea what's going on, this is the continued story of the Marvel Zombie Saga, and if you want to keep up to date with the Marvel Zombie Saga, following the Zombie Spider-Man, Zombie Wolverine, Zombie Hulk, and Zombie Headpool, then make sure you subscribe to the channel because we are bringing these videos to you weekly right now. Now, at the end of Marvel Zombies 4, the head of Deadpool, known as Headpool, was set off to sea to find other adventures. This is the story of that head. But before we can talk about the head, we need to start with Deadpool himself, the proper Deadpool in this older storyline. Keep that in mind, this is an older storyline and probably not in continuity anymore. For Deadpool, it was just another day in the mercenary world, as he is shot down to Earth in a small space pod. He was selected for this job because it's special. It's, he gets to crash land into Earth. Only he can survive that. Through its wreckage, Deadpool pulls his burnt self out and he hears a voice telling him that he looks like hell. And as Deadpool looks up, he sees the voice of Kazar, who watches over the Savage Land. So Deadpool might want to explain what's going on. Deadpool tells him, well, it all started 6 hours ago at an A.I.M space station. A few weeks ago, Hydra sent a bioweapons team to the Savage Land in an attempt to find a new natural toxin that they could weaponize. In that group was an A.I.M operative who reported back to Hydra that they had made a significant find. So much so that A.I.M then sent in a heavily armed retrieval team. So just as soon as Deadpool meets with his contact to get the package from them, he'll be out of his hair. But as Deadpool begins to get dressed, Kazar looks at him and tells him to follow him. There's something that he would like to show him. After traveling for a little bit, Deadpool stops and says, "By Odin's beard, that's a statue of me." Kazar says that he needs to look into this Hydra thing, so go ahead and take care of yourself. But as Kazar leaves, Deadpool begins to wonder why these cavemen possibly think that he's a god. Maybe they'll treat him like royalty if he walks down there. However, as Deadpool tries to think about what to do next, a hand reaches out and he quickly turns around, punching the person! And one of the voices in Deadpool's head says that they may have just punched a girl. And Deadpool catches her stating that he's so sorry. You can't sneak up on a guy with mad ninja skills. After rescuing the woman, Deadpool asks her who she is anyway. She tells him that her name is Dr. Betty Swanson, his A.I.M contact. She was supposed to have the package ready, but the headhunters have been very active lately. First, they're going to need to head to her observation blind to prepare for how they're going to get the package. So she'll leave the planning to the hotshot mercenary named Deadpool. Deadpool thinks about it for a moment and then he says that he's got the perfect plan. She'll be so impressed with his cleverness. But it's a complex plan, and she'll need to listen to every detail. And 1 minute later, Deadpool jumps into the middle of the headhunters, guns blazing, killing them, stating, "That was pretty good. So long as they don't have a bunch of cavemen reinforcements," which 1 minute later show up and capture the two of them. They begin dragging Deadpool and Betty into their cave, and the headhunters leave Deadpool into a room, and as he looks up, he shouts, "That's impossible!" And the head of Zombiepool shouts, "Hiya, handsome! Thanks for bringing me a fresh new body." A short while later, Deadpool and Betty are tied up and suspended over a lava pit, and Deadpool asks, "What the steaming crap is going on?" Zombiepool says that he was content ruling his minions as the head man. But then he was thinking how great his head would look on his body, which Grog here has volunteered to help with the delicate surgery. But he will at least do the James Bond villain thing and tell him a story before they get on with it. Originally, Zombiepool came from a parallel universe where a zombie virus had ravaged their world. So after stumbling into a mystical gate, he found himself in this world. And then due to some traveling complications, he lost his body. So him and his friend Simon became friends, and soon Simon helped stage his own death by sending him out to sea, which led him to being found by the headhunters, who saw him as a god or something. Who would have thought? But anyways, it's time to make room on that body for him, so Grog will just give him a little shave just above the shoulders. Grog raises his axe and he begins to slam it down, but at the last moment, Deadpool pulls himself to the side, causing the axe to hit his arm. Zombiepool shouts out, "Don't let him get his!" But it's too late, as Deadpool begins beating everyone with his own severed arm. After throwing the arm and grabbing a hold of a gun, Deadpool frees Betty, but before he can kill any more of the cavemen, Grog crushes the gun, and Deadpool tells him, "Hey, I was shooting people with that!" Deadpool quickly grabs one of his katanas, and with a dramatic slice, he stops and counts down from 3. As soon as he says 1, Grog's head pops off, and Zombiepool says, "Well, see? My plan worked out perfectly. Now these guys are dead, and you can take me out of here. Good job, buddy." Deadpool grabs Zombiepool and gets ready to throw him into the lava pit, but Betty stops him, telling him to wait. The head is the whole reason A.I.M sent him here. And Zombiepool says, "See? I'm special! Just head deeper into the cave to escape." What they find is an escape route, though it's a giant waterfall. But before Betty can figure out what's going on, Deadpool grabs her and he jumps down it. Once the two of them wash up along the shore, Betty suggests that since it's getting dark, they set up camp, and in the morning she's going to sneak into the Hydra camp to have A.I.M pick them up. A short while later, after the campfire is set up, and Zombiepool asks him, "Is there some grub to eat?" And Deadpool asks him, "Where would it go?" Zombiepool says, "Hey, I'm a zombie. I just like to chew on things." So Deadpool gives him a bug to eat. The next morning, the three wake up and head out, and Betty says that they need to be careful. There's some trouble ahead. Deadpool sticks Zombiepool onto a stick to keep watch, and once the coast is clear, they continue onwards. But Betty says that they need to be careful. Normally, when the large predators leave, the little ones come next. Deadpool looks around and decides that he doesn't see any, and that's when a raptor jumps out of the bushes, pulling him in. Betty says, "Oh God, she's going to die," and Deadpool tells her, "I will save you," and he stabs the raptor in the mouth and begins to ride him. The raptor flails trying to throw Deadpool off, but after the raptor falls landing on him, Betty asks if he's okay. Deadpool says he's good, and a voice tells him, "What a relief! I would hate to think that we came all this way to find a corpse." The two look up at a Hydra agent, and after a quick thought, Betty says, "Thank God, this guy's a kidnapper." The Hydra agent says, "Nice try, but we're gonna deal with you later. First, we need to tase Deadpool." And after looking at him, the captain says, "This is the wrong guy. They're looking for the guy's decapitated head, except zombie-ish." Kazar watches from afar, stating that he just knew the little guy was gonna cause trouble. After a few more hits from the taser, Deadpool manages to kick the commander away by hitting him in the groin, and with his high-pitched voice, he tells everyone, "Get him!" As the Hydra agents start to pile on Deadpool, he shouts, "It's clobbering time!" And a voice in his head tells him that they really need to develop their own catchphrase. Deadpool begins to fight off the group, and the commander tells everyone to forget the taser, just shoot him! Suddenly, the soldiers open fire as Betty watches, and as Deadpool's body falls to the ground, the commander looks back at Betty and tells her that he wants the bioweapon. He wants it now! But as the two of them talk, a little voice calls out to him, and the commander looks down to see Zombiepool telling him, "Hey, you should feed me!" Elsewhere in the jungle, Kazar runs out of the brush with his tiger Zabu, thinking that it should attract the help that they need, and that's when a T-Rex starts charging towards them. Back with the Hydra agents, one of the soldiers states that they have an incoming emergency pointing at Kazar. The commander says the guy in the loincloth is hardly an emergency, but the soldier says not that. He's talking about the T-Rex following him. The T-Rex charges through, chomping down on the soldiers just as the headhunters begin their attack to reclaim Zombiepool. The commander begins issuing orders to each squad, and Zombiepool asks, "Did you ever think in a million years you'd be issuing orders like, 'Engage the dinosaur'?" As the battle between the Hydra, the T-Rex, and now the headhunters begin, Betty tells Deadpool to please get up in a slightly mean tone, followed by a lot of explicitives. Deadpool asks why, did I miss something? And Betty points to the battle, stating, "Yeah, you're missing everything." The headhunters begin piling onto Deadpool, and he notices the commander fighting off everything while still holding onto Zombiepool. A headhunter then tackles him, causing him to throw the head, and Deadpool tries to grab it, but instead it lands on the shaman stick, and Zombiepool shouts, "Hooray! I'm a deity again!" That is until he gets eaten by the T-Rex. Deadpool breaks free from the headhunters, and he finds one of the Hydra Gatling guns just as Zombiepool's head falls back into his hands. Deadpool asks, "Are you ready, Butch?" And Zombiepool says, "Ready, Sundance, let's ride!" Deadpool begins creating a path through the crowds, and just as him and the rest get out, Kazar tells him to go ahead. He'll lead the forces away. And Deadpool tells him, "Thanks, you're pretty okay for a guy with a limited wardrobe." As the three of them make their way through the jungle, Betty's watch begins to beep, and she tells them that it's just a GPS from A.I.M in case they ever get lost. Zombiepool says, "That's nice, but can we get some food, please? I haven't eaten anything since I took a bite out of that T-Rex." Meanwhile, back at the A.I.M space station, with no contact from Betty telling them what's going on, they assume the worst, and they decide that they're going to vaporize everything within a square mile of her GPS locator. Back on Earth, the now zombie T-Rex chases after everyone, and Betty climbs up a tree telling Deadpool to hurry, they need to get higher up. Deadpool starts to climb up, but as Betty reaches for him, the T-Rex snags a hold of one of Deadpool's straps, and all he can do is grab her watch. The T-Rex tosses Deadpool into a tree, and Betty asks if they should help him, but Zombiepool says, "Nah, he's pretty durable. What say we get some flapjacks?" Up in the space station, their crew begins to charge and fire their lasers while Deadpool tries to escape the charging T-Rex. But after getting out into a clearing, the watch begins to beep again, and Deadpool stops, asking what it could mean. Maybe it's an alarm! Maybe she needs to take a pill! What if she needs to take her birth control? And then a shadow looms over, the shadows of a foot, and it stomps down on him. The light begins to shine in the sky, and Deadpool asks what that could be, and the entire area explodes! Betty watches the explosion go off, but Zombiepool says, "Don't worry, he'll be along sooner or later." She tries to respond with, "Nothing can live through oh my god," and from the fire, Deadpool says, "He's parched! Anybody for a fresca?" After regrouping, the three go back out and stumble upon a Hydra aircraft. Deadpool sees one of the guards step out eating a sandwich and asks if there's cheese on that, and then he punches him taking the sandwich. Once Betty gets on board, she begins to hit liftoff, and Deadpool says that he's really gonna miss the Savage Land. Maybe he should build a summer home here, a little cottage near that volcano. But as the team takes off, the Hydra commander looks up seeing Deadpool and he says he really needs to find a way to kill that guy. He then pulls out his communicator to radio down another ship to pick them up. He also tells the captain of the battle frigate to move into attack positions. After taking a much-needed shower, Betty radios the A.I.M space station to let them know that they're on their way with the package. Just make sure not to shoot them since they're in a Hydra spacecraft. Once the ship boards, the sub-commander Blake tells Deadpool excellent work. He's worth every penny that they're paying him. And Deadpool asks if he can pay him in cash. Just like the giant white bags with the green money signs on them, please? Blake tells Betty to go ahead and bring the head into the lab to contain it, and in the meantime, Deadpool can go to the room that they set aside for him to freshen up. After changing and getting a new set of clothes, one of Deadpool's voices asks how long they're going to avoid talking about this. They know what will happen if the virus gets loose on Earth. Everyone is going to die. And Deadpool says, surely not everyone. Not the iCarly kids, Adam West, Paula Abdul. But the voice responds telling him, what part of everyone don't you understand? Deadpool begins to shout, oh God, we gotta get the head back. And another voice says, now we only need a random occurrence to provide a convenient distraction. Suddenly, the Hydra frigate opens fire on the A.I.M space station. While the two forces begin battling, Deadpool makes his way over to the lab, breaking out Zombiepool, and Zombiepool asks him, oh, did you miss me already? The explosions begin to go off, and Zombiepool asks to bring him up to speed. He explains that Hydra is attacking, and they're going to escape on a spaceship, but first they gotta get Dr. Betty. And Zombiepool says, forget her! I think she wore a lot of flannel, if you get what I'm saying. Deadpool tells him, in no way do I understand what you're talking about. As the space station begins to explode, everyone begins to head towards the evacuation ships, and Deadpool sees everyone else had the same idea, get to the evacuation ships. The lasers begin firing, and Deadpool grabs a hold of Betty so that the two can escape together, and once aboard the evac ship, Deadpool tells the pilot to take them to Florida. And if he sees a Taco Bell along the way, wait, Bob? Deadpool lifts the pilot's helmet and he tells him, no, his name is... But Deadpool stops him stating, Bob, I thought you were back on Earth with Hydra and dead and in a different book. The man says that his name is Bill, agent of A.I.M, and Betty shouts, can they just get the hell out of here now? The other pilot begins to take off and Deadpool says, it's just like Han Solo told Chewbacca, fly casual. The pilot then says, actually, he likes the 3 newer films better. Hayden Christensen is an amazing actor. Deadpool looks at him and then shoots him in the head. And he tells Bill, say Jar Jar Binks is an abomination. Say it! Just as the ship takes off, the Hydra frigate receives an incoming call from Deadpool asking if they want to discuss the terms of his surrender. Betty slaps them, stating that they should just give them whatever they want before they kill them. And Deadpool says that his colleagues suggested that they work out a deal so that they don't get torpedoed into oblivion. You guys still want the head, right? Well, I'll jettison it out the airlock and you just give me some time to escape and we all get what we want. Everyone wins! The commander says that he agrees, but if Deadpool double crosses him, so Deadpool releases the package out the airlock and Hydra secures it, allowing Deadpool's ship to leave. But just as the commander opens up the box, he sees that it's not Zombiepool, it's a bomb. And after the bomb explodes, Deadpool tells Bill to just go ahead and take them to Florida. Warp Factor 5! And Bill says that this ship doesn't, but Deadpool tells him, he said Warp Factor 5. Yes, sir, Bill says. A short while later, back on Earth, Bill flies the aircraft, nearly knocking over some locals in a fishing boat. The locals paddle back to the shore, and Deadpool steps out, stating, hey, rednecks, have any of you guys seen a dimensional gateway around here? And Zombiepool says, you know, I wouldn't mind some lunch. Could you guys spare a foot? Maybe just a toe? The locals begin running away, and Deadpool says, you know, you're really a people person, Zombiepool. And Zombiepool tells him, it's a gift, my man, a gift! Bill begins surveying for the portal since Zombiepool doesn't know exactly where it's at, you know, the portal that'll get him back to his zombie world. And as they travel through the muck, something behind them begins to rise. Zombiepool mentions that he remembers this swamp. Him and Simon had a hell of a time in the Caribbean. They made a lot of friends and observed some interesting wildlife. Just then, Man-Thing jumps out of the waters to attack, and Betty and Bill open fire while Deadpool just sits in the water. Zombiepool says that thing is slow moving. If they haul ass, they can leave him in the dust. But as they turn to run, Deadpool says that it sounds like he tangled with Shaggy McGardenhoe's face before. Zombiepool tells him, I have no idea what you're talking about, and I will ignore any further questions regarding this thing. But as they begin to escape Man-Thing, they find themselves surrounded by Hydra agents. The captain says that there's been a slight change of plans for them. They're going to take the head, and him and Mr. Wilson will draw blades. Deadpool says, I'm always up for that, but who are you exactly? Who am I? Says the man. I'm Lord Baron von Tito Habsburg Rothschild Falcon the 7th. Falcon pulls out his sword, telling Deadpool that he will carve him into so many pieces that his healing factor won't even be able to bring him back. But just before he attacks, the Man-Thing grabs the 2 guards. Falcon looks back and says that he may be at a disadvantage now. Nevertheless, he will still be more than a match for Deadpool. Deadpool says that he accepts the challenge, holding out Zombiepool's head. And just as Deadpool begins to pull out his sword, Falcon begins to swing. As the 2 swords meet, Deadpool says, turn your head and call, Falcon. And he asks, what nonsense is he talking about? Oh. Falcon falls to his knees, holding his groin, stating, not cool. But just as he goes to finish his sentence, Deadpool swings once more, lopping off Falcon's head. Once the head lands, Zombiepool says that it's time for lunch, and Betty mentions that whenever Deadpool is around, body parts seem to become airborne, to which Deadpool tells her that he hadn't noticed. Bill tells everyone that they are close, and soon a purple light begins to shine. Deadpool asks if it's the super hyper-dimensional taxi stand that he remembers, and Zombiepool tells him, "Oh yeah, come to Papa." Deadpool steps into the portal with a comment of, "One small step for Deadpool, one giant leap," but Zombiepool stops and tells him, "Would you just get the hell on with it already?" And with that, we close the initial storyline of Zombiepool. Now, there is a second storyline that we will be covering before going back to Marvel Zombies Return, which is where Spider-Man, Wolverine, and all those other guys come from. If you want to keep up to date with the Marvel Zombies storyline, make sure you subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter at Comicstorian, and Instagram, and I will see you next time right here.